Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA.
where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the AFA way. And in case you've forgotten, we're here to
Oh,
remind you every single day rise and shine. It's
you
AFA
gotta
time.
be reminded.
You
Oh
do.
my gosh.
You know, yeah,
Yeah,
we
of
forget. We got the built in forgetters.
course we do.
And basically, if it comes down to this, we are responsible for our own mental, emotional, spiritual, physical healing.
We
And
are.
they're
We are.
exactly. And
Yeah.
and we're here to show people that if we
Yep.
can do it, so can you.
Right. And you got to listen, morning, Brian. You
Good
got to give
morning.
yourself grace because
Hmm.
there are times, and I'll tell you, I've been in one of those times where it is just about impossible to love yourself.
Oh
Just
God.
about. Like you go to that space where nothing is good. And you know what? Give yourself some grace. Don't feel like you're alone.
Yeah.
Because there are millions of other people who go through the same exact trials and tribulations. And
Yeah.
part of the manifestation is when you're in that mode, when I'm in that mode, I am completely and utterly alone.
Yeah.
Nobody is able to get there with me, and I push away everybody around me. Even though somebody says, "Hey, oh, love you, love you, love you," it's like,
You don't. I
yeah,
know.
but you don't because you don't really know.
You don't really know.
You
Like you
don't
don't know
really
what's
know. Yeah,
right.
it's
Exactly. It's
amazing,
and it.
fascinating stuff.
It really is too. And one of the other things too that I always like to compare to is that all of our stories, all of our journeys are different.
Yeah.
However, can you hear that?
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got
Sherry's got a lot of friends in the driveway today cutting trees up.
I woke up to a swarm
Yeah.
of big giant
Yeah.
saws
Chainsaws.
all around my house.
It's all good. It's all good. We can't. It's not that bad. It really
It's
isn't.
not that
So
bad.
sorry.
Okay.
You're telling all of our journeys
Yes, all
are
of our
are
journeys
different, but our feelings,
are the same. Like our feelings, like these feelings that we
of course,
have
they are.
about these specific situations are similar.
Yeah.
And that's where
Yeah.
we're able to have empathy, right?
Hmm.
Sympathy,
Hmm.
compassion, and kindness when we've been in that particular situation. And I think that's what's so powerful about what we're doing, Mark, is because we're nurse patients, both of
Yeah.
us. And a
Yeah.
lot of nurses that come into the cannabis space
Hmm.
have stories of trauma or illness.
Yep.
Cannabis has come into their lives and has
What do you mean,
transformed their
human
lives.
stories, Sherry?
These human
Stories
stories.
about being human?
It's like, you know,
Yeah.
everyone's got their own autobiography. You think about
Whew.
it, right?
Yeah.
And how different they
Oh
all
yeah.
are. But when you get into the stories, the feelings are very similar.
Well, of course, yeah.
Sadness, depression,
Because our
despair.
brains all work basically the same way. I mean, structurally and how things are done. It's
Yeah.
just some are wired differently than others, right? Or
Yeah.
everybody's is wired a little differently. Different
Oh
patterns,
boy. Are they?
experiences, memories, all of
Yeah.
those play into the emotion. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
So you got to
Mark,
give yourself grace. You got to give yourself
yes.
grace at the end of the day.
And if you can't give yourself grace, ask for help. The angels are really good at giving us help when we need it. So
Give us a
today's
little angel love.
I have to because it helps
Yeah,
and
you
it goes
do.
along with a
I'm
lot of the
plugging my light
themes
in.
that we talk about. you
Yep.
know.
All right.
So today's angel message is this: the more you can relax, the
Yep.
more easily you will be able to consciously communicate with us.
Yeah.
Right? The more that
Yeah.
you can relax. What does relaxing mean?
Yeah.
Stepping out, going within, going
Going
within.
within. And now,
Finding
but
activities that can quiet your mind.
yeah.
Right?
And that's, when you can get into that space, when you can get that quiet time, you can meditate, maybe you fish a little bit, maybe do that kind of stuff. But I'll be
Mm-hmm.
honest with you, again, you got to give yourself grace because when I get
You
into
do.
this mental space, there is no way for me to get quiet. There is so
Yeah.
much negative thoughts going on, Sherry. There's no way for me to calm that down and shut it down. So it's just
Yeah.
in a space of,
Just sitting in it. Right
waiting,
here it is.
sitting in it,
Sitting
sitting in it.
here, right? You're sinking and you just sit Here it is you're
Yeah.
sitting in shit. Really,
You're
all
sitting
those
in shit.
shitty.
You're sitting in your own shit. Yeah. So, I mean, what do? You get on Facebook and YouTube and live stream your innermost demons, right? Yeah,
You
that's what
open
you
up.
do. You share it with everybody else. Yeah, sure.
Right,
Yeah.
but here's
Talk
the
about
thing, though, too,
crushing
Mark.
your ego. It's like,
But
I'm a big Marine, I'm tough and and I'm slightly fucking crazy, but it's okay.
But here's the thing. The thing about authentic transparency.
Yes.
The thing about loving yourself, like right now, right here, our ability to be able to share some of our pain is the vulnerability in being open and real and raw, right? So that vulnerability, you do deep down, I do deep down, love myself enough to be open and vulnerable to share these stories of healing. Because the bottom line, people, if you're out there, we may look all sparkly and shiny 8 a.m. in the morning.
I mean, we look fantastic, Sherry. You have to admit, we are attractive people. Yeah, we're sexy as you know what. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the interesting thing about that is that we're human too. And so we go through these human moments, these human feelings. And sometimes we can get stuck in the loop a little bit longer than we want to. Let me just tell you, I have so many best-selling movies in my head about all the stories.
My God. Yeah, I know. Listen, I wrote one book, so there's many more to come. Holy cow.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But so your gift, Nurse Mark, right now, and you're going to be helping especially men that are, they need
I
to
got to
hear
tell
the
you,
story.
I mean, it's not easy because of the ego, because of the, this whole societal thing about, men have to be strong and women can be emotional. It's not easy to say, well, yeah, I know, I've struggled for a long time. And my beautiful wife says she's proud of me, and I love that woman so much. My gosh, she's given me some good compassion and empathy for sure. And Carrie Lee and all of you. Yeah. Everybody. God love you. And me too.
And so so Mark, so we're going to get back to like this mental health thing. So just think about one of the most difficult challenges that we have as human beings is processing emotion.
Yeah.
Think about it, right? Processing emotion. And so the strength comes from us having that awareness and taking steps, delving deep, going within to figure it out. And you're right. It is a deep dive in. It's the soul's journey.
It's an uncomfortable spot, right? Yeah. Nobody wants to have to dive deep and look at the demons and try to figure out really why do you feel this way? Yeah. So
here's the thing. So here's another good
from
thing.
The angels.
Good stuff from the angels. And now we're going to tie it over to cannabis because
tie it to cannabis, baby, and then we'll do the daily love. Go for it.
Yes. So tying to cannabis, basically.
Yep.
I've hit, I don't know how many bottoms in my life. And so many of them I had a hard time getting out. And the one that was the worst was when I was chronically ill and lost everything. Lost my job, lost my kids, lost my ability to take care of myself, losing my mind, right? Every day in that loop of who am I? What am I? I can't take care of myself. I can't take care of my kids and I can't work.
Right.
So that cannabis came in immediately and relieved pain and pulled me out of the story in the loop. I mean, granted, I'm not going to lie. I was really high, but I don't care. It worked.
Doesn't matter. It gave you that break. It gave you that break. It broke that pattern of thought because that's what it is. That negative loop is just a pattern of thought. It's like a little racetrack that you get on and you stay on it and you just circle the drain, the drain. So cannabis was an exit ramp. It's like, hey, Sherry, step off into this little land over here where you're happy and feeling comfortable and good for a little bit. What's wrong with that?
Step into my garden, right?
Yes,
where all the plants grow. As you all know, nature is perfect. It really is how nature is set up. And we can learn some of the most important lessons about living as humans from nature.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways, so that's my story. Let's do some love. I love love.
This is from I haven't dipped into this book in a while, but it was it's absolutely one of my all-time favorites that I read right when it came out. It's Conversations with God, an Uncommon Dialogue, Book 1 by Neil Donald Walsh. just loved everything about this book. And in this particular little piece of the book, God is talking to Neil about, when do you want your life to take off? And what's that look like? So here we go. This is God talking. Hold on. All right. Ready? So, do you want your life to take off? Begin at once to imagine it the way you want it to be and move into that. Check every thought, word, and action that does not fall into harmony with that. Move away from those. When you have a thought that is not in alignment with your higher vision, change to a new thought then and there. When you say a thing that is out of alignment with your grandest idea, make a note not to say something like that again. When you do a thing that is misaligned with your best intention, decide to make that the last time and make it right with whomever was involved if you can.
Yes. Mark, good
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And this is what it makes me think of, right? Here you go.
Yeah.
When do you want your life to take off? Well, I'll tell you what, when I was sick and suffering, I wanted it to take off more than ever. And cannabis really, truly lifted me and brought me into the space of hope, give me the inspiration to make the changes, right?
Yeah.
And the growing was taking those actual actions and seeing results. And then the healing's ongoing. Let me just tell you, it's not a one and done. It's an ongoing process. And so one of the things too, what I love too, this is just kind of cheesy and corny and cannabisy and, all that, but I don't care. It works for me. So, having this vision and this mission and this passion and this excitement now that I'm alive and I have the capability of sharing plant wisdom and medicine. And as we all evolve in the space as professionals, right, there can be a little, this and that, and, thoughts can come in and you can start to change the dialogue and you can start to, like I said, get into that negative emotion. So before responding to anything cannabis related and business decisions, I sit to myself and I go, what would cannabis say? Right. And here's the reason why. Cannabis altered my perception about my reality in an instant.
Yeah.
Okay. So taking that time to go within and to silence, if I have to take a little toke, if I have to do a little tincture, just to go in to ask, how do I want my life to take off? Do I want my life to take off in a loving and powerful way or in a fearful, scared powerful way. Yeah. And that you taught me that statement, Nurse Mark. You taught me the statement when I was going through a tough time last year. You said, Sherry, when you get into the conversation that may be challenging or difficult, just come from the place of what is the most loving and powerful thing that I can say that is going to be kind to myself and the other person that I'm sitting in front of.
And you have done that ever since. My God, that it's a beautiful thing to see.
And so thank you for that. It was a huge gift.
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah.
So now we're going to get into some history. It's Throwback Thursday.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple of slides that we're going to talk about. And I don't know if we can pull them up. I'm not sure if it's possible. But we're taking them from this book. This is Cannabis for Health, Becoming a Coach. And we're going to be going through a little bit of this book on our shows because it's really, really powerful. Elizabeth Mack in the Holistic Caring Community. Let me put that little banner
rock
up
star.
There. Yeah, she's amazing. So we're developing, we have this community that we now are inviting everyone to because it's not just for clinicians, it's for nurses, it's for all people, patients, providers. It's progressive. It's the Green Nurse Holistic Caring Community where everyone is welcome. And so one of the things we're going to be doing is having a book club. And so today we're going to talk about two of the slides, and it has to do with history and Dr. Raphael Mechoulam.
Oh, I have to say, first, I just want to call out how awesome is it that cannabis is really being driven by women? How awesome is that? Like it is the feminine that's pushing this thing along. I think it's just amazing.
Yeah,
and it really is. It really is. The Green Nurse, all of these American Cannabis Nurses Association, CNN, all of these organizations that nurses, 93% of the nursing population are female, right? I'm a tiny little 7% of the population.
But very important. Very important.
Well, very happy to be here. I'll tell you right now. And so now we're going to talk about this dude, this amazing man who, if you have not, if for some of you out there, Sherry, you've interacted with Dr. Meshulam.
I have. He replied. Yeah. He was texting me back and forth from LinkedIn. I had a question and I said, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? He's not going to reply.
Right. So I just said, here's this guy who's considered the godfather of all cannabis research. Like his whole career, he's 91 now. His whole career has been spent researching cannabinoids. Like, finding THC, elucidating THC, part of finding the endocannabinoid system. Like, here's this guy. But Sherry, you're right. He answered it. He answered an email. He answered your thing. I've met him several times. He is the most humble, gentle, kind human being. And his service to the world has been in providing evidence-based research for the medical community to feel good about cannabis. Amazing. Yeah.
Like if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be where we are today. So
totally agree with you on that. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, it began. So the modern history of cannabis research began globally in 1964 with Dr. Raphael Mechoulam in Israel. Mm-hmm. He's a medicinal chemistry professor who isolated and synthesized THC, CBD, figured out what components were in the plant, how it worked in the body. And the National Institute of Health sponsored his research because it couldn't be studied in the United States due to prohibition.
Right. Well, that's why Israel, it's Deborah, it's Raphael Mechoulam, Mechoulam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Raphael
Can we pull that
Mechoulam.
Slide up? Is there a way for us to do that? Or you?
I don't even see it, babe.
Oh, okay. Oh, if you okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
Cool. All right.
I wish
I'll put the slide up. Yeah, I'm going to put it up. I'll put the slide up after the show. It's a really good one, and it's got information on him.
So let's talk about Israel.
Yeah.
Israel has been on the forefront of cannabis research since it all began 50 plus years ago, right? So, think about it. This tiny country is the epicenter of cannabis research. They're clearly 5 to 7 years ahead of everybody else in the world. They have over 150 patents for cannabis as a medicine. And the reason, as you mentioned, is simple. The government sanctioned it. The government said, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. And so they've been able to operate freely with quality cannabis to research. In the United States, we've had the ability to research cannabis, but it's been very, very difficult to do because you can't get any funding because the government agencies that fund it pretty much wouldn't do it. And the product that you got came from one place, University of Mississippi. They were the only ones who were allowed to grow it and provide it for research. And it wasn't very good cannabis.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
There wasn't much variety. There wasn't, so Israel has really cornered the market, so to speak, on that. And this guy has been at the forefront.
Yeah. So what I really like about the story is that, happening in the 1960s, right? And there was a movie in the 1960s called The Scientist. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it wasn't in the 60s, but it was based in the 60s. I'm not sure the year of the movie. But actually, it profiles Dr. Mechoulam and his story about why he wanted to know about cannabis having such a varied different effects throughout the body. And he experimented in the lab in real life. So he was given 5 kilograms of hash or cannabis, $5 million. And his wife made brownies with some of the cannabis he was given. And he studied a group of friends that the scientists gathered to test. And he wanted to know why cannabis had such a variance of effects.
Yeah.
Some people grew tired. Some people grew hungry. Some were laughing hysterically. Some got paranoid. And yet some people also felt nothing at all. So why?
Why the
what
difference?
Is the variance? Why the difference between people that ate the exact same substance? Mm-hmm. And how is it possible that we all have these different experiences?
Right.
And so he knew that we must physiologically be interacting with this plant in different ways, which is just fascinating.
Which, decades later leads to the discovery of the endocannabinoid system, because they're saying, well, why does cannabis and THC have this effect? Where in the body is it connecting? They're like, oh, there's a receptor. And so now they begin to wonder, well, why is there a receptor in our body, on our cells for cannabis? Why would we have this for a plant?
Right. Well, and this is the thing too. So this, So this is a really cool thing. So the endocannabinoid system wasn't discovered because cannabis fits into our body. The endocannabinoid system is really about what we make in our body. And they compare it because the molecular structure is similar. And
but I think the deal was that they looked and found, they were trying to determine why THC connects in the body, and they found the receptor, and they're like, well, why would we have receptors for a plant? That makes no sense.
Exactly.
Then they started to look around, and they found this chemical cannabinoid within us, and we're like, oh my God, we make cannabinoids. But it makes sense that they wouldn't have naturally found it, because endocannabinoids are created and used
upon
then
demand,
degraded, right?
Yes.
So they're not something that stays in the body. They're like on, off. So of course it would be hard to find them.
Yeah. So so we'll just do a quick review of the umbrella for a lot of the new people here. So, the endocannabinoid system can be very abstract when we teach. I interviewed Tasha Jackson yesterday, and she is a teacher, an educator with her master's. And she basically said there's two types of ways to, there's two ways that information is being presented. One is information and the other is education, right? And being able to take the information and break it down so people can receive it and understand it. So I have an issue with ADHD and an issue with learning, and my receptive language is my ability to receive information and process it was challenged. So I was thinking to myself, how can I teach this to people so it makes sense? Because it was very abstract. So I thought of a little umbrella here.
Genius.
Imagine that. Because it's just it needed to click, because if it didn't click for me, I knew it wouldn't click for other people. So just imagine, everyone, that you are an umbrella, and all of the spokes of the umbrella are your different organ systems that exist: cardiovascular, respiratory, integumentary, reproductive, genitourinary, central nervous system, all of the different systems, immune system, digestive system. All the spokes of the umbrella that make up that umbrella to keep its shape, right, is all of your organ systems. And the fabric pieces that attach to the spokes of the umbrella are those messenger signaling systems that give messages to tell your body to either do something or stop doing something. The master regulatory system is at the very tippy top of the umbrella, and it blankets right on top of our umbrella, the endocannabinoid system. Imagine a holographic image. We produce cannabinoids upon demand. Receptors are constantly popping up and down depending upon what's going on with our body. And it's an on-off switch to keep our body in homeostasis or balance, keeping that umbrella going up and down nicely. And so we make components in our body like the plant upon demand. And if we're not making enough at the tippy top of the umbrella, what happens? Messages don't get to the fabric pieces appropriately. Message may not get to the spokes of the umbrella.
Not enough of a message, right? Not enough of a message to either turn off or turn on whatever needs to happen in the body. So that ends up with what we always talk about, Sherry. That's the endocannabinoid deficiency.
Now here's another cool thing, is that these receptors that take in cannabinoids, CB1 and CB2 receptors, are the most numerous in the body. They outnumber any other receptor sites, and they're located throughout the body. So I thought that was really fascinating.
It is. Another fascinating thing is, Sherry, is that the number of them changes based on what's going on in your body. If you're in a disease state, you may have more cannabinoid receptors because your body's saying, hey, I need some help over here. I'm not getting enough of the endocannabinoids that I'm looking for. Let me throw some more receptors out there and see if I can grab some more, right? Cast a wider net. It's fascinating what your body is able to do.
I know, it is fun. And then in 1992, anandamide was discovered, right? Anandamide is that internal endogenous cannabinoid that mimics THC. And it's ananda is the Sanskrit word for bliss or supreme joy. And like we said, it happens to represent what happens in the mind when THC is taken into the body. So cannabis affects these receptors that influence our emotions, our memory, our cognition, and our interpretations and perceptions from all of our senses.
Yeah.
Right? And it helps us to have that overall sense of well-being. I love it. It's such good
Love
stuff.
it.
Yeah. And then as we start to get down, what about in 1999? Do you have the slide up? Do you have the sheet
I
up?
don't. I'm good. I am just following along with you, babe.
Oh, cool. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So
I don't know where the slide is.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right. So the next part of the slide has to do with the science as it started to evolve. In 1999, the National Institute of Health created the Center for Medical Cannabis Research in San Diego. And this has become the base for clinical and scientific research in America and worldwide. In the early years, there was no funding. It sat as a shell. And so now today, the Center for Medical Cannabis Research is going well and operating with a faculty and staff. And there's at least 5 studies focusing on neuroprotection, tremors, anxiety, autism, and neuropathic pain.
Right. And that goes back to what we talked about yesterday. About the last thing we talked about was the fact that the government has a patent since 2003 on CBD as a neuroprotectant, right? So they know what's going on. It's funny how this, bureaucracy is amazing. Because you do have the NIH over here that's saying, oh, hell yeah, cannabis is a medicine. And then you have the DEA over here saying cannabis is not a medicine.
Exactly.
No.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's different bureaucracies within the same government.
Yeah. And so that was the last part of the slide, what you just said. In 2003, basically the government took out a patent on cannabinoids.
Smart.
As a potent neuroprotectant and antioxidant. So,
right.
Very potent. That's like the most potent thing, As I say, thank God for cannabis.
I know.
It's such a great way to help adapt to life and to help balance out the body.
It's all about stress, babe. It's all about stress. Stress is the great equalizer. It leads us all to that final, ending. So do you want to get there sooner or do you want to get there later? It's about stress and decreasing stress and the oxidation on your cells and all of the things that just tear down your body over time. The aging process, all stress related.
Yeah, we don't die. We don't die of old age. We die of old age related stress.
Absolutely. In a breakdown of our cellular structure because of stress. And then you can get down really deep into it's about the telomeres. It's about those little taps on the end of our DNA, right? And as we age, those telomeres kind of degrade and your DNA unravels and you're not replicating very well after that, right? So it gets down to that, and it's all, cannabis has a play in that. All of it. Yeah.
It totally does. So I want to give out a big shout to Elizabeth Mack for some of the content that we provided today, right? Which is great.
Hell yeah.
We're going to be continuing the dialogue in our book club.
Yeah.
So, we want you all to join the Holistic Caring community, free community, uncensored, intro to cannabis course, support group, and a book club. So come to the group, come join us. We're here. We want to educate and empower you to have an AFA life so you can live your best life.
Hell yeah. AFA, baby. All right. AFA. Love you guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Here we go. Have a great Thursday. Yeah. Go ahead.
And I also, if people are on the page right now, I put up another show for 9 a.m. and I'm going to cancel that one because I thought I wasn't going to be able to talk because of the tree guys.
Right.
So anyway, I'm just
although we would love to do another, 30 minutes, and we could totally. Yeah, we could totally do it. We're going to give you a break. Yeah. It's like Sherry, too much of Sherry and me, it's just too much to handle all at once,
Too much sunshine.
Too much sunshine. Right. Exactly. You'll get a sunburn. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Love you guys.
Have an absolutely fantastic day. Join us tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. for another daily dose. Live your best life and help others do the same.